Let's take a look at how you can load a motion capture file onto a biped. So let's go ahead and create a biped. Then we go to the motion panel and we have the motion capture rollout. And here we've got one of our choices is load motion capture file. So let's go ahead and choose a file. And I'm going to choose something off the Learning and Training CD. We go to C Studio, Tutorials, Motion Capture. Let's choose a CSM file. Let's use Fashion. So the file opens. And after a moment you have the Motion Capture Conversion Parameters dialog. Let's just accept the defaults. We're going to have a freeform animation with no key reduction and all of our defaults set as they are, and we'll click OK. Takes a few moments to load. And here we have our motion. Let's go ahead and play it. Oh, let's get a better view. Okay, so we have something that looks like a fashion show. Let's play that. Nice smooth motion. Now you'll note that the biped has been changed a bit from what we had loaded. When you load a motion capture file, it changes the biped to suit the motion that you've got going. Also, if we click any body part, we'll see that we have a keyframe on every frame, which is, boy, look at this solid block down here. Pretty scary. So let's try it again. And this time we'll use some of the choices that we have. So under motion capture, we're going to load motion capture file, and we'll choose fashion again. This time, let's go to footsteps. Turn it on, and we'll use some key reduction as well. Takes a little bit longer to load because it's doing some work. And now we have a file with footsteps. And if we select the arm, for example, we don't have a keyframe on every frame on the upper body parts. Now what this does is this allows you to, you can, for example, go into footstep mode and you can move the footsteps around. So it makes it somewhat easy to edit the motion capture after it's come in. So we'll go ahead and save this, and we'll call it Mocap Strut 01. When this motion capture file comes in, it automatically changes the shape of the biped to fit the original shape of the biped used when the motion capture was done originally. But you'll probably want to use it on your own bipeds. So here's what you have to do. Let's say we want to use this motion on Dino. What we can do is reload Dino here and go into figure mode, and we're going to save a fig file. When figure mode is on and you click Save File, it comes up and it offers to save an FIG file. What that does is save the shape of the biped, the shape and size of the biped part. So we've already got one here called Dino Fig, but we're going to save over it. And now we can go ahead and bring in the motion capture file. We need to turn off figure mode. Then under motion capture, we can load a motion capture file, and let's bring in that fashion file. And we'll tell it that we want to use footsteps with key reduction. Now here, we can load this figure structure, Dino Fig. You click Browse, and you go and find it and just load it here. And click OK, and now it will use this fig file. But we've got a bit of a problem. It doesn't look too good, does it? The motion is kind of small for the figure that we've got. So here's what we can do to get around that or to make it work better. Basically, when you do motion capture and you create a character to use with it, you really should make sure that the scale is somewhat similar between the two characters, otherwise you're going to have problems. What we can do is take this biped and reduce its size by reducing the height. And we'll bring it down so it's much smaller. Now, we'll save this fig file and we'll call it Dino Small. And let's go ahead and bring that motion capture in again. And this time, we'll click Browse and use Dino Small. Don't forget to check this Use checkbox too. It's still thinking. You can see from our progress bar. And now it looks quite a bit better. Because the scale is a lot better. Now once you've brought in a motion capture file, you can also do any of the things you usually do to change the keyframe animation, editing keys and so on using layers. Let's go ahead and save this. And we're going to call this mocap stret02, so we can just click the O1 file plus and it's saved. And of course it's always fun to see how these mocap files turn out with your character. So let's take a look at the mesh. Bring the mesh back. And let's select the biped. And let's put a new layer down on our layers rollout to fix the arms. So we can see this arm definitely needs to be moved out. And this one probably needs to be moved away as well. See if we can select it. There we go. Get the arm away. Ooh, forgot to set a key. Let's get this one again. And set a key for that one as well. Alright, let's hide the biped. And take a look at what we've got. Well, the feet would obviously need a little bit of work, but still pretty funny. And there's Dino, Fashion King. Now let's take a look at the workbench. The workbench is a feature in Character Studio that lets you look at function curves for the biped body motion. If you go to your ordinary track view, you won't be able to see the function curves because they don't display there. For the biped, you have to use the workbench. So go ahead and load this file, mocap01. This comes with this training set. And this is an animation with some motion capture data of a guy slugging somebody with a club or a sword or something like that. The motion looks good. But if you select any part of the biped, you'll see that there's a keyframe on every frame. This is cumbersome, difficult to work with. If you wanted to change any of the motion, it would be hard to deal with it. So the thing to do is to use the workbench to reduce the keys. So we've got the leg selected. You just have to have part of the biped selected. Go to the motion panel and click Workbench. So the workbench comes up. This is our little navigation buttons. We can just pop right back here. And by default, the Select tab is on. So here you can select different parts and see the curves for these parts. So if we want to reduce keys for them, well, first of all, let's look at this selection. Sometimes when you select one, you can't see anything. So then you use your zoom extends keys. There we go. Zooms right in so we can see that there's actually some motion there. Alright, so we want to reduce the keys on this, so let's click All here to select all the parts. Then we go to the Filter tab, and we're going to choose the Key Reducer filter. One of the parameters is key spacing. So we want to have a keyframe on, say, every 5th frame. And for the center of mass also, every 5th frame. We want to do it on selected parts, on the entire animation. And we don't want a key per frame, for sure. So let's click Filter, wait a few moments, and now you can see that for the toe, which is what we have selected now, we have every 5th frame. If you go back to your Select, you can see that now we've got keys on every 5th frame. So that reduces the keys very effectively, and if we go and take a look at the motion, you'll see that it's pretty much exactly the same. It won't have changed noticeably. Key Reducer usually doesn't harm you at all. Now, one of the things that is happening is that the feet are waggling around a little bit. We'll fix that in a moment. Now let's just save this. Save as, plus as mocap 02. Now we did some key reduction on this motion capture, but the feet are a little wobbly here. So how would we fix that up? Well, for one thing, this sometimes happens with motion capture. When the feet are supposed to be staying still and when they're supposed to be moving sometimes isn't interpreted correctly. So we can fix that up manually, easily enough. We know, for example, that the right foot is supposed to be staying put the whole time. So we could just select that right foot, can get rid of all the keys, except the first and last, and put a planted key down. Remember, that's under the key info rollout. At the beginning and at the end. So now the right foot is staying perfectly still. Left foot's a little wobbly, it's going to be a little trickier to fix. The left foot is going to stay still until just about there. So this is a planted key. We don't need all these keys here. And we'll put one at the beginning. So now the foot stays still, goes up, and then goes down right about here. Another planted key should stay planted until this point. So we'll put another planted key there and get rid of that one. So now it goes down, stays put, comes back up, goes down, probably right there. Delete these keys, go to the end and down. So now when we play it with our manually placed IK keys, the feet stay still. And we'll save this with a plus. mocap 03.